We back. Your boy CJ Goodfella back with Box Clan Kimura. Speaking on Terence Crawford and his situation with top ranking Bob Arum. Crawford seems to have a lot of faith in Bob Arum and making those fights with PBC. And the quotes that he was saying was like, it has to make sense on both sides for, them to send their fighter over here and stuff of that nature. And, sometimes as fans we wonder, do they actually are aware of the situation they are in, depending on their promoters and the Cold War, which just seemed to kind of blown over, but it's still really there. Do they know the history where Bob Arum and Al Heyman don't like each other, and that it's an unspoken fact that you won't be fighting the PBC Fighters. I wonder if he had those discussions with Bob Arum. Probably do. Obviously, he said that those fights they can happen. And what's so funny about it is people are quick to forget some of the quotes that Bob Arum said in the past. I mean, he said, "Why would I send my fighter over to Showtime when they do less than 1 million views? It ain't happening." He says they're gonna have to come over here, where ESPN, where you get as many views as you want to, But at the end of the day, is ESPN willing to dish out that cash for that type of fight, for Keith Thurman, Earl Smith to come over there? And what's so funny about it is their numbers are on par with Showtime numbers, and they on ESPN basic cable. They're not pulling big numbers. Let's keep it factual. But those were the quotes that he said. Then he turned around and praised Stephen Espinoza and Showtime. That's funny to me. You know what I mean? Very, very funny. Because he's a hypocrite. He's been going back and forth. In the fights that have happened, the big fights that has happened between Al Heyman and Top Rank and all those, whatever you want to say, Manos Matarosian versus Erislandy Lara, the first one, that was a purse bid. Lomachenko versus Gary Russell, that was a purse bid. Won both. I forgot who won the Erislandy Lara purse bid. I believe it was Golden Boy in Al Heyman's favor. And I believe for the Gary Russell, that was on Showtime. That was in Al Heyman's favor as well. Are they aware of the situation, the fighters that signed with Top Rank? And I think they are. I think they're completely happy with just being, WBO champion, being one champion in the weight class. I really starting to think that these guys don't want to fight the other side, and they don't want the competition. But they'll pop off at the mouth. And what makes me lean to believe that is because Timothy Bradley at one point let the cat out the bag. He was asked in the interview, was like, what about fighting the PBC Fighters? He said, I don't need to fight none of them, and I'm happy at Top Rank. I don't want to fight none of them. And he's been known to be a ducker of Amir Khan. Amir Khan wanted to make that fight happen, years ago. And he run over to Top Rank, and he doesn't want to address that fight. And he says the reason he ran over to Top Rank because I didn't know nobody over there at Golden Boy or with Al Heyman. I didn't know none of those guys. I mean, but you fought some of those guys that eventually, that went over to Al Heyman. Obviously, you did. You fought Manos Matarosian. This is after that, though. But you was in the amateurs, I'm pretty sure you were in the class, Andrade and amateur family. Everybody knows everybody, you know what I'm saying? U.S. amateur boxing program is very, very small. But he basically said that he didn't feel the need to fight those guys. He was happy with Top Rank, and he said, I don't want to fight those guys. And he bitched out about the question. And it kind of went under the radar, you know what I'm saying? But then he comes back and says, yeah, I'll fight him. Then later, after the Pacquiao, he retired. And the funny thing about it is, the reason he signed with Top Rank is because he was promised a Manny Pacquiao fight. You remember when he first signed, I think he fought on the Pacquiao undercard on pay-per-view versus Joel Casamayor. You know what I'm saying? And I believe these guys are aware of that shit, man. And Crawford has been fighting, 10 fights under his current Top Rank contract? So he's done read up already, probably a couple times. He didn't re-sign unless they signed him into an Easy E type of contract, you know what I'm saying? Ruthless record type of contract, you know what I'm saying? So I think, he can play the frustration role with me. He can. He really can play the frustration role with me. I don't think he want it. And I'm going to keep it real with it. I think all the talking and all the trainers saying we're going to tear Earl Smith's new ass, we believe those fights can happen. Let's see. I just don't believe the bullshit, man. I don't believe the bullshit. I know you can't bullshit a bullshitter. And I think that he knows that fight ain't going to happen. I honestly believe he said, it can happen, it can happen. Listen to what Bob Arum told him. He said if it makes sense for both sides, it doesn't make sense for both sides. Arum said he ain't sending his guys over to Showtime. Then he turned around and said, oh yeah, I'll send them over to Showtime. Get the hell out of here. How did your opinion change in 3 months? Nothing really drastically changed over at Showtime. The ratings didn't change. they have less subscribers than HBO. Obviously, you're on a free network basic free network where you get to, you got access to millions of people. You know what I'm saying? So I think Terence Crawford is aware of the situation he's in. I really do. And, I really don't think he wants to fight the PBC guys. I think guys go to Top Rank, keep reading up with Top Rank because they don't want to fight those guys. And he going to act like he's very frustrated with it and all that, and Bob's going to tell him this and that, and it's going to drag out. And people are dumb to believe that fight, they like 100% going to happen. Some people think it's 100% going to happen. And if it happens, it's going to be the fact that Errol Spence forces the hand to make the fight happen. Somebody's going to have to compromise. Honestly, somebody has to compromise for the fight to happen. And Bob Arum ain't letting none of his fighters compromise to go to another network. And Al Heyman ain't compromising none of his fighters unless, it's like Errol Spence said, I'll take the loss. I just want to go get the belt. And that type of mentality, And a lot of people going to disagree with this video and say, it's just my hunch. I don't have no special inside information. I laid out the facts, what these guys are saying. And I don't believe it. I've seen so many Top Rank in-house fights that I just can't see them, putting this promise in Terence Crawford to go do that, and then talk about, making fights with other networks. What's going on with Lomachenko and Jorge Linares? Where's those negotiations at? You know what I'm saying? Haven't heard nothing else from them going back and forth on Twitter. And y'all guys continue to believe Bob Arum. He's a liar. He'll tell you. I was lying yesterday. I'm telling the truth today. One of his famous quotes or some shit like that. And I just don't believe. I don't believe Terence Crawford team truly believes they're gonna go over and fight the PBC guys. And that's why, Timothy Bradley can talk reckless for years about, Amir Khan and stuff of that nature. They wouldn't even let Timothy Bradley they wouldn't even probably let him face Floyd Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? And Bob Arum wants to continue to put on these in-house fights. And, it is boxing. But I'm just keeping it true with you. I don't see it happening, man. I don't see it happening. It took Pacquiao numbers to dwindle, to him to get knocked out, and his numbers to continue to fall, where people weren't accepting Algeria, the Brandon Rios fights and stuff of that nature. For them to finally say, you know what, we gonna cast our chips in, and we gonna watch you get your ass whooped by Floyd Mayweather, we all gonna eat. It took his career to be on the fritz and his numbers to dive real bad for that to happen. What drastic things got to happen for Terence Crawford to get that date where Errol Spence will keep Thurman? I'm just saying. So let me know how y'all feel. I know y'all gonna disagree, but it is what it is.